Hello, wherever you are in any part of the world. Hello from my heart to yours.
In this world, obsessed with kindness and ethical blindness. So please excuse my sarcastic tone. I'm a bit underwhelmed by the sample shown. Mr. Bistro fraternity guy, you got my ass full of bloodshot eyes. Get drunk and fight every night. Idolize Bradley, belittle women's rights. Homophobic, racist, and don't give a fucking hey. Do you think you can drive a bigger truck? So wear your baseball cap to decide to let everyone know that you're a nice guy. So cool, was so impressed. Lots of chips and a barrel chest. Cause you're a real man. Punch or punch, gonna piss in your face while you're passed out drunk. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. He's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. She's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planets. I just can't understand it. Not good divine by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, Sherlock! I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, Sherlock! Read into the lyrics, cause everybody gets their just desserts. As long as you remember that nice guys finish. You're next on the list. Such a nice guy who speaks through his fists. Prick with a penchant for messing with heads. A broken nose for dinner and breakfast in bed. Alcoholic, paranoid, and suicidal too. But you'll probably kill her before she gets away from you. Screws in a pool, letting cry. All your friends say that you're a nice guy. Have a drink, this one's on me. Look, you're doing fine, losing to your disease. Comatose, I'll pack your bags. Bury you like cats ready to gag. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. We're all nice guys, but all of you are assholes. He's a nice guy, she's a nice guy. Hey, Combo's a nice guy. All of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. The public commented. How could a body by deception and lies? Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, Sherlock! I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, Sherlock! Read into the lyrics. Don't let the fucking pill quench your thirst. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first.
Welcome live listeners, welcome podcast listeners. This is the Plex. We do the show live every Sunday, 7 p.m. Pacific, right here on Twitch, twitch.tv/EchoPlex Media. If you're over there on the podcast, like on Spotify or whatever, just make a Twitch account and follow our channel. Attach your Prime to it, sub to the channel. It's free. I get money. You can also support this project, of course, just by going to echoplexmedia.com, clicking the support tab. Lots of great ways to support the channel over there. Including our swag shop. That's at eplex.store. Go ahead and, buy some fucking merch there. Get a membership. It operates like Patreon. Of course, you can also do Patreon. That's patreon.com/echoplex. That's enough of me talking. This is what the people want.
I don't hate the cops. There's a person inside when the torture stops. Oh, don't hate the cops. Oh, when the raiders come, who will protect the shops? Don't hate the cops. They're a sensitive bunch if you don't stop throwing your rocks. Snap, crackle, pop is the sound of a taser. Your body drops, donate the cops. Donate the cops, donate the cops. Donate the cops. Like your local police. Cause they don't do nothing wrong like your local police. Got rid of the corruption and the racism is gone. They've been keeping the peace, keeping homeless folks out of the parks and malls. Got a cure for your social disease. Follow the law, don't hate the cops. 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 Put your hands above your head and show you're not afraid. I'm the fearless judge that your skin color's gonna get. And if you die before the sun comes up, the paperwork will take forever. Well, it might have worked out a little bit better if you didn't hate the cops. Cause they don't do nothing wrong, donate the cops. You can't blame them for just doing their job, donate the cops. Well, you gotta wonder, how much would it cost for you to be shot at and stabbed at by maniacs and drunks? Donate the cops, donate the cops. Donate the cops, donate the cops. Donate the cops. Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops.
All right, so this election season, what I can't fucking wait for is to watch this as this goes down. While the rest of the Republican field is terrified of Trump, Chris Christie is going to ineffectively try to go after Trump. And I'm totally here for it because he's not really that good at this shit. So it's not going to really, none of it's going to land, but it's going to be fun to it's going to be fun to watch him try. And here's an example of that.
That mission for now is taking on Donald Trump his way.
I oppose him for his incompetence. I oppose him for his broken promises before we ever get to any of the criminal indictments.
What's the truth on Trump?
He's a completely self-centered, self-possessed, self-consumed, angry old man. And he doesn't care about anybody else other than him. And if he were ever to become president again, I'll take him at his word. He said, I am your retribution. Well, he's not our retribution, Bob. He will be his own retribution.
Why is everyone else in the field seemingly avoiding Trump, tiptoeing around him?
I think it's one of two things. They're either unwilling to do it because they have aspirations, maybe a vice presidential bid or a Trump cabinet, and some of them are just unable to do it. If you want to be the man, Bob, you got to beat the man.
So yeah, this guy's going to be like completely ineffective in his attempt to kind of go after Trump. But it'll be fun watching him try. That's for sure. Anyway, there was an indictment that dropped. Yet another one. And here's some scenes from outside of the DC arraignment. Here's some Trump's fans talking about what happened.
They know that's a worst case scenario to see Donald Trump in jail because that's going to make a lot of people very angry. And you see what happens when we get angry, right?
Welcome to the circus.
Get me indicted! I'm the president!
Dude, you need a dentist really bad. Do I support Donald Trump? I am Donald. What the hell kind of question is that?
Oh, that's that unfunny guy that does a Donald Trump impression. We've seen him before.
Supporting Trump today are the hardcore. They're not just the people that deny anything happened on January 6th. They blame the people that were attacked.
It was not allowed to be completed because the Capitol Police failed to secure the building that day and allowed this so-called insurrection to occur. So the people who actually obstructed the process were not the individuals there exercising the First Amendment. They were the people in leadership who did not properly secure that building that day. That's who's responsible for interrupting the process. That's who should be charged.
A lot of the MAGA world, if they even believe something bad happened on January 6th, believe it was just a warning to the deep state. The people that really deserve to be arrested.
But also, they can do it to any of these politicians here. If they're going to do it to Trump, they need to do it to Biden. Otherwise, they're going to have hell to pay if they stop him from the election. It will not be pretty.
What do you mean hell to pay? Like what
it will not be pretty if they stop him from running for president.
Of course, no one will actually be specific about what's going to happen.
The Democrats have never taken the guns. Never. Not in the history of America. But they always say they do. So they say they want to put Trump in jail, but they know that's a worst case scenario to see Donald Trump in jail, because that's going to make a lot of people very angry. And you see what happens when we get angry, right? They don't want to get them angrier, because that will definitely make them angrier than January 6th.
Do you think that something bad would happen? I mean, like, what do you think would happen?
I mean, it isn't hard. It's like saying, what's 1 + 1? What is it? You already know the answer to that question.
The next show is in Atlanta. We'll see what happens then.
Like, why don't they just say what they mean? They don't even have to, like, make a threat. They can just be like, hey, I think, there'll be riots, and I think there'll be riots. They could just say that. But, like, I don't know why they wouldn't say that. It's not, you can predict that stuff all you want. I don't think anything, somebody in chat was like, they're all talk. I think so, too. I don't know what's going to happen. Up next, we got Trump's team actually wants a more diverse jury pool than what they're going to get in Washington, D.C., which is odd because Washington, D.C. is one of the most diverse areas of this country. So I think they don't necessarily mean that. Let's see where they'd like to maybe have the trial about January 6th go down. Great website you got over there, Elon. Let's try this again.
You still going to pursue a change of venue?
Absolutely. We would like a diverse venue, a diverse jury.
Do you have any expectation that will be granted?
That reflects the characteristics of the American people. It's up to the judge. I think West Virginia would be an excellent venue to try this case.
Speaking
Very
of the
close
judge,
to D.C. and a much more diverse.
What's more? West Virginia is more diverse than Washington, D.C. I'm thinking no. I'm thinking what he means is he wants to get it out of D.C. because there's a lot of black folks in D.C. This one's great. This one's like what I put for the description on here is like, what was I supposed to do? Just twiddle my thumbs?
We are talking about whether we are going to, as a nation, completely repudiate every one of our founding principles. Which is what the modern left wing, which is in control of the Democrat Party, believes, that we are the root of all evil in the world and we have to be eradicated. This is an existential threat to the very survivability, not just of our nation, but of the example that our nation, properly understood, provides to the world. That's the stakes. And Trump seems to understand that in a way a lot of Republican establishment types in Washington don't. And it's the reason he gets so much support in the hinterland, in the flyover country. People are fed up with folks, get along, go along, while the country is being destroyed. And so I think the stakes are much bigger. And that means a stolen election that thwarts the will of the people trying to correct course and get back on a path that understands the significance and the nobility of America and the American experiment is really at stake, and we ought to fight for it. Then there are no longer any impediments to them preventing us from ever having a fair election again, which means there are no impediments to them blocking the consent of the governed having control of the direction of the government. And we no longer are free people.
Right.
I mean, those are the stakes.
What the fuck is this guy talking
If those
about?
are the stakes. What are you supposed to do? Just sit around and twiddle your thumb?
I mean, maybe.
It would be too messy to do anything about this. I'll just, and maybe when the alligators come for everybody else, they'll eat me last.
Yeah, that's dumb. He was talking, that guy was talking about, he was morally obligated to try to change the outcome of the 2020 election because alligators, I guess. That's weird. I don't know. They're already like saying, oh, well, we can't have any free and fair elections. They're already saying it, and this is to gear up for 2024, I think. It's so that if things don't go their way in 2024, they can just claim it was all stolen again. So up next, Mike Pence was a bit evasive in this interview when he was asked about the fake electors scheme before January 6th. Just a little evasive.
Up the fake slate of electors in a meeting with the Senate parliamentarian on January 3rd. In your book, you said this. I asked her a direct question referring to the Senate parliamentarian. Are there any alternate electors from any state? She told me there were not. I mentioned that I had heard that some alternate electors had been sent from several of the disputed states. So this was on January 3rd. What can you tell us about what you knew about this elector scheme on January 3rd that prompted you to ask this question?
Well, I just heard what was being talked about in the press at the time, Chuck. But I thought it was
by early January, like it was that Donald Trump knew that this guy, for all his many faults, wasn't going to fucking play ball. So he probably wasn't invited to any of the rooms where any of this was happening.
Look, in January of 2017, I took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And under the Constitution, states certify elections. And while there were irregularities in states, maybe a half a dozen states around the country that changed the rules in the name of COVID, we challenged those in 60 court cases. Right. Once the courts had reviewed those and the states certified them, I wanted to make sure that we were operating on January 6th in a way that was consistent with the Constitution, consistent with the laws of the country. And that's the reason that I sat down with the parliamentarian. I looked through the process. I was determined to hear the objections that Republicans were planning to bring, Chuck, and many did bring. Right. I mean, you remember Democrats brought objections to Electoral College votes in 3 of the last 4 elections that Republicans prevailed. There was nothing unusual about that. None of it, right. But I did ask the parliamentarian. Under the law. I did ask the parliamentarian very directly, Chuck. Right. I asked her because I was hearing rumors. I was reading in the newspaper that there were alternate electors. I asked her point blank.
Was anybody in the White House telling you this?
From any state? And she said there was not. I don't recall that. I just remember hearing it in the public. And I wanted a definitive answer whether or not the parliamentarian had received any additional electoral votes. She had not. So as you know, we actually changed the language as those Electoral College votes were recorded. But look, Chuck, I've told you many times, I said it again at the Iowa State Fair. Right. I had no right to overturn the election. The Constitution is quite clear. As vice president, my job was to preside over a joint session of Congress where the Constitution says the Electoral College votes shall be opened and shall be counted. And let me ask you this. I did my duty that day.
Donald Trump had said this week that he never asked you to disregard the Constitution and that he never said that you were too honest.
Well, whatever. I would never accuse Mike Pence of being too honest. He just didn't want to go down with the fucking ship, man. That's all. He's like, I'm not going down with this one. He's like, I've done a lot of crazy and bad shit as governor of Indiana and as the vice president, but I ain't going down with this ship. Also, it's funny. He thinks he's running for president. He's not running for president. I mean, he thinks he is, but that Vivek Ramaswamy guy might get more votes than he does. Anyway, up next, we got somebody, they brought their receipts. This is in response to Keith Kellogg endorsing Trump and saying that Pence is unworthy of the presidency. Former staffer Mark Short produces an email that Kellogg sent him on January 6th showing that Kellogg was opposed to Trump's attempts to change the result of the 2020 election until he learned to love them. Love it when people bring receipts.
I want you to also listen to what retired General Keith Kellogg, as you know, he served as Pence's national security advisor, just put out in a statement. Let me read a couple sentences from the statement. You know him well, Keith Kellogg. Pence has often chosen the passive route, avoiding confrontation. This lack of assertiveness, combined with an over-reliance on failed political consultants like Mark Short, has demonstrated a laissez-faire leadership style unworthy of the presidency.
But this is irrelevant. Fucking Mike Pence is not going to win the primary.
What's your reaction to Kellogg?
Well, Wolf, it's saddened to read that. I don't want to denigrate anybody who has served our country in uniform in combat like Keith has. But at the same time, I think Keith has just recently boasted that he nominated Mike Pence for the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which I don't think is consistent with his comments of him lacking leadership skills. I also know there were a lot of young men and women on our staff who stood at their posts on January 6th. Unfortunately, Keith was not one of them. Keith was at the rally at the time that the United States Secret Service evacuated the vice president. The vice president's national security advisor was down on the rally encouraging people to march on the Capitol. So he did not stand his post. And, you know, I did bring a receipt tonight because this is an email that I got from Keith on January 6th and the evening of January 6th. In which he said, the president is up in the residence. I recommend you stay on the Hill and finish the Electoral College issue tonight. I responded, that's our plan. And he said, that's not a good plan, that's a great plan. Close this thing out tonight. So on January 6th, Keith was clearly supporting the vice president's actions. I know that he's still on Donald Trump's payroll, and perhaps that's why he's saying something different today.
That's a pretty serious charge you're making right now.
I think that his comments, are very inconsistent with everything he said about Mike Pence and also in private to Mike Pence in the 2 years since January 6th.
All right, we'll follow up with General Kellogg, see what else he has to say. Thanks very much, Mark Short, for joining us.
He's like, actually, I have an email here that says something quite the opposite of what this guy's saying. And I mean, people do that all the time. It's not a super big deal. It's just that, like in that case, the dude was like, stop this, get this done with. We can't have this. And now he's like, oh, we should have stopped the steal. And it's like, well, at the time he didn't really feel that way. It's weird. But the guest there was like, well, who's paying him? Anyway, we got Chris Miller on Fox News. He's like, I absolutely told January 6th committee under oath that Donald Trump made an order to deploy the National Guard. And then he went on and then he went on Fox. Well, he was on Fox, and he's like, I absolutely told the J6 committee under oath that Donald Trump made an order to deploy the National Guard. But then under oath, he was like, I was never given any direction or knew of any plans of that nature. So he said one thing to the J6 committee, and if you can imagine that, a completely different thing on Fox News. I don't know. Maybe hopefully he's lying to Fox News. Who knows?
You heard Donald Trump authorize up to 20,000 troops, Kash Patel.
So they have plans for activating more folks, but that was not anything more than contingency planning.
What's happening here?
Official message traffic or anything of that nature regarding.
Just so we're clear, you did not have 10,000 troops, quote, to be on the ready.
Fox fucked up their audio. Did you hear? You looking at this?
For January 6th. Prior to January 6th.
A non-military person probably could have some sort of weird interpretation, but no, to answer your question, no, that was not part of my plan or the Department of Defense's plan.
And just that the rest of his statement was, quote, that was a direct order from President Trump, and yet here is what we see, all kinds of blame going around, but not a whole lot of accountability. And to be crystal clear, there was no direct order from President Trump to put 10,000 troops to be on the ready for January 6th. Correct?
No. That's correct. There was no order from the president.
We authorized.
Well, something's horribly wrong with this clip. Anyway, we're going to move on. This is live, everybody. Can you tell? So, I mean, up next, fuck the Lincoln Project and fuck everybody involved. Well, fuck the main people in the Lincoln Project. However, they do have some pretty snazzy video editors working for them. Probably some younger people. Check this out.
Presidential charm.
the DeSantis method. When interacting with the public, be sure to turn on the charm.
Stop coming up to me, talk to me. What are you talking about? I'm not here working with people. Are you blind?
Friendly.
What is that? An icy? Yeah, that's probably a lot of sugar, huh?
Fun.
I'm here. I don't know. The other one's out there. I'm not friends. Okay, all right. It's good. All right, we'll say hi to everybody.
When interacting with the media, it's important to be polite and congenial.
How would they know me? Okay, think about that. Do you honestly believe that's credible?
Strong.
You better ask an on-topic question because I'm not answering anything that's not about the economy.
Confident.
I'm sick of the judgmental stuff.
It's important to be prepared for any situation that might come up on the campaign trail. Even a runny nose. Yum. Whoopsie.
Okay, don't back down.
Oh.
It smells really good, I'll tell you that.
Wow, great job, Ron. Everyone enjoys a good story, so make sure you tell a good one.
You know, my mom, or my wife.
Perfect.
Someone left a bunch of balls, and then she was in the next one. So we're hitting, and I noticed the balls, but I noticed her, right?
Riveting.
What time is it? It's got to be
past 10 o'clock. Where your kids are going?
7:15. Yeah, it's too late to call my wife.
With these simple steps, you'll go from being a presidential candidate to not being a presidential candidate in no time.
Right, Ron?
Like I said, I mean, fuck the people in the link, especially the people that had a Lincoln Project, but they have some pretty good video people there, the younger folks, I'm assuming. Up here we go. Here's a Fox News host versus a GOP House of Representative member talking about the accusations against the Biden family.
Serves on the House Oversight Committee. Congressman, thanks for taking time with us today. You heard from the president there yesterday. He has maintained all along that he never talked to anybody, including his son, about his foreign business deals. What's your reaction to what he said yesterday?
I mean, he runs away from the camera every time he gets a difficult question in front of him. I mean, I think it's rather pathetic to have the leader of the free world, running and saying, "Oh, shucks," and saying that everyone's lying. I mean, here we had Devin Archer under sworn oath of lying to Congress, go and say that the then Vice President of the United States on 20 different occasions.
I just want to clarify, he was not under oath when he gave his deposition to the House committee, I thought.
Okay. Here he was in front of Congress and asking, and saying that the Vice President of the United States conference called in 20 different times to business meetings for Hunter Biden to show off this access. In the same testimony, says that Burisma sold a brand, and that brand was Biden, and access to power and access to the vice presidency. They've made an industry as a family of monetizing access to high people in government. And I think it's very sad to see the president react like this. We're going to continue to gather the facts on the Oversight Committee. We are going to continue to put together, the financial documents. That you can't refute the fact that we have $20 million accounted for from foreign entities, yet Hunter was never a registered foreign agent. That would certainly be a crime right there.
Except okay, if you have to register as a foreign agent, it's because you're lobbying the U.S. government. You don't have to register as a foreign agent if you just go take a job for some company overseas.
And the evidence just continues to pile up, but it's a web of lies and deceit as the president continues to deny this involvement or knowledge.
Well, sir, Democrats have pointed out, Byron York in studio with me last hour pointed out that despite nearly 2 years now of an investigation into the president's son, while you have certainly unearthed a trove of evidence that the committee says proves the president's association, there has not been produced a smoking gun. Clear-cut, undeniable proof of the president's involvement with his son's foreign business deals. What do you say to that?
Well, we've never claimed that we have direct money going to the president, but many members of his family have received money from foreign governments. And this is something that is very important for the American people to know. We haven't been at this for 2 years. The House Oversight Committee, we didn't take the majority as Republicans until January of this year. This investigation has been going on now for 8 months, and we've accomplished more in 8 months than it's taken, some entities years to achieve. The banking records speak for themselves. I mean, no one does business like this unless you are up to no good, where you're creating 20 different shell companies, swirling the money around as it comes in from foreign entities, and then transferring out to family members. Here is a family where
can I just follow up with you on a point? Because we heard something
or background.
I want to just follow up with you, sir, on a point you made.
They're on a delay. You can. He's probably not too upset that he's ending up talking over her, but they're on like a significant delay. There's like a second that he's like behind because of like whatever connection they have. That's what's going on here. But he just starts talking as soon as he thinks she's given up on trying to ask him a question, which is what you don't do when you're on a delay. When you're on a delay, you're supposed to fucking slow down.
A moment ago, which is you said we never claimed that any money was funneled directly to the president. That is precisely the claim that the chairman of your committee, James Comer, and also Jim Jordan have made many times on the public record.
We are putting an investigation together, laying out the facts between on the business dealings of this family. We are going to continue this investigation. I believe impeachment inquiry would give us more tools to get the job done, but I think the Speaker of the House has been very methodical, as has the chairman of our committee have been very methodical in the way they've laid this out, that we are presenting the facts as we get them. And that's why this is the third memo of financial documents that has been released this week. And we have kept the American public up to speed of the work of this committee. You have not seen any memos officially claiming that the president received direct funds. That has not been said. And as we continue this investigation, we'll continue to release this information. But, where there's smoke, there's typically a raging inferno. And when you have $20 million based on no saleable skills and no background that this family has in the businesses that they were in, they were literally selling a name and selling a powerful brand that was senior in government to foreign agencies, foreign governments, and foreign businesses. The fact that Archer said that Burisma would have been belly up but for the Biden family protection, I think says an awful lot.
Congressman, got to leave it there. Got to clarify again that the chairman of your committee and multiple colleagues of yours have made that direct claim that money has been funneled to the president, or that he has profited directly off of his son's foreign business deals. We got to leave it there. Thank you so much for taking time with us today. We appreciate it.
That lady about to get fired.
Thank you.
Or the other thing is, and I've been sort of noticing this a little bit, I feel like some of the people at Fox News, possibly like producers or whatever, they're like thinking a little more long term. And maybe they're thinking it's not such a hot idea to go basically chasing ghosts in the night every time somebody makes a claim, because even their viewership, first of all, their viewership's getting older, and so they're going to have to find a way, maybe to get people from my generation or something to start watching. They're not going to get the generations behind me to start watching anytime soon, but like they got to get the Gen Xers to start watching if they're going to be able to continue to have a viewership. As like my parents' generation, they start dying off, and I don't think that a lot of the Gen Xers are really going to end up over at Fox as if they just keep chasing every fucking story, every claim about the Bidens, or previously it was the Obamas, right? And even before that, it was the Clintons. Well, it's always been the Clintons. The Clintons have already been mixed in, but I don't think my generation is that interested in that stuff. And so I think there's some people at Fox, like I said, who are thinking a little more long term and want to keep their jobs as producers, don't want to have to, or if they have to go look for a job somewhere else, they don't want their fucking resume tarred and feathered with a bunch of bullshit. And so some of the people, especially in the daytime part of Fox, where it's more reporting, and I think that's where that last clip was from, they're starting to push back, not say, oh, I think you're lying or I think you're full of shit, but being like, hey, other people on this, like what she was saying, other people on the network made the claim that you're saying isn't being made. And I think it's just that there are the people in like the news department are thinking about their careers and their future. And their careers are cooked if they just keep doing this conspiracy mongering. So I think we're starting to watch things change, at least during the daytime on Fox News. We'll see though. Anyway, up next, we got Laura Ingraham. She's going to claim that the Grand Canyon National Monument is a Joe Biden scheme to funnel uranium money to Kazakhstan. Her producers, on the other hand, don't give a fuck.
The question isn't whether Joe Biden himself got direct payments from foreign business interests, even oligarchs. He's stupid, but he's not that stupid, right? But he benefited because his son benefited, his only remaining son. And it sent a message to the world that American policy was for sale. And what policy in particular was for sale? Well, we may not ever know. But as long as Joe Biden is in power, a cloud of corruption hangs over this White House. Take his announcement yesterday, brazenly crippling America's uranium mining capacity by making 1 million acres permanently off limits for any type of mining.
Were we mining a lot of uranium and
going to come from the sacrifices of dealing with taking on the climate crisis.
Were we mining a lot of uranium near the Grand Canyon?
These are investments in our planet, our people, in America itself, protecting our outdoor treasures, making our nation more resilient.
Treasures. He has a lot of treasures he wants to protect. But it's just more green smoke because uranium, that's obviously found in this 1 million acres, is vital not just for nuclear power plants, but for our weapon systems. And what country, when you think about how this is all being cordoned off, can't do any mining here, is one of the biggest beneficiaries of Joe's courageous decision? None other than Kazakhstan, home of one of Biden's preferred oligarchs and one of his son's sugar daddies. It's now guaranteed to remain the dominant supplier of uranium to the United States with its 35% share. Well, it all could really make perfect sense, couldn't it? One of the most crooked families in American politics is responsible for making America permanently dependent on one of the most crooked countries on the face of the planet. And that's the angle.
I'm skeptical that we were mining a lot of uranium near the Grand Canyon. I'm not a uranium mining expert, nor am I an expert on the Grand Canyon, but I feel like we probably weren't mining a lot of uranium near the Grand Canyon. I also feel like maybe the United States isn't mining a lot of its own uranium either because of like the shitty thing we do where if something's dangerous or if something's dangerous, we just have poor people in other countries do it. And I feel like that's probably what's going on with mining uranium. So up next, we got everybody. We can all agree. Everybody hates Mitch McConnell. This is in his home state at like one of his own events, and everybody fucking hates this guy. Man, he could just retire. He's got a lot of fucking money. I mean, why is he even putting himself through this? I mean, even what if he was a nice guy and this was happening to him everywhere? I mean, he's a giant piece of shit and whatnot, but like, what if it wasn't a giant piece of shit? Maybe it's time to retire. Go sip a cocktail on a beach for the rest of your life, dude. Don't worry, some other ghoul will take your job. There are right-wingers and left-wingers in that audience holding hands, booing Mitch McConnell. Boo, boo. That's great. I love you. You'll love to see it. You'll love to see Mitch McConnell getting booed. Up next, we got, it looks like Tucker Carlson being interviewed No, he's interviewing Tristan Tate, and Tucker's going to go after Fox News for not having the back of one Mr. Alex Emmerich Jones, which it's a little weird.
That's down to people like you. Do you think, since you spend a lot of your life thinking about communications, the media, social media, like, where are we in 5 years? Is speech restored to the average person, or is there less speech? I would say, without trying to kiss your ass, because I'm not an ass kisser, that's down to people like you fighting the good fight. Depends on the American political climate, which obviously you have a lot of sway over.
So this guy's going in and out of a British accent. Can you hear it?
Whether anyone likes it or not. I believe it's the negative ideas from England and America that have certainly made this happen to me. Yeah. Also, my case is important for countries in Eastern Europe. Obviously, Romania is a big ally of the United States, has been for a very long time. They have a very good relationship with the United States. If Romania are happy to, if important people in Romania, who I know speak highly of me, stand up and say, we're not going to publicly crucify this guy because America doesn't like him, or because England doesn't like him. I believe this is a very good moment for Eastern European countries as well, NATO allies. That's right. To say, look, we don't have to do everything you say. We don't have to follow this insane agenda of accusing people you don't like with imaginary crimes and throwing them in jail. This could be a victory for Romania. The work you're doing could be a victory for the United States. England's lost, so forget England. Yeah. There's no free speech in England. That's over. Yeah, so it all depends on what shifts happen, who wins the next elections, how effective cancellations are. You have people like, Rumble, Elon fighting against this silencing of every idea that's counterintuitive to the agenda of the deep state, or the matrix as my brother calls them. So I don't know, but it's a very interesting time to be alive. I would like, the optimist in me would like to think there's finally enough pushback. So let's take Alex Jones. You don't have to agree with everything Alex Jones says. I like Alex Jones, but I don't agree with everything Alex Jones says, and you don't have to. But Bill Maher famously, and credit to him, said when Alex Jones got banned, he said, we shouldn't be banning people. He said, I hate Alex Jones, but Alex Jones should be allowed to talk. Everyone should be allowed to talk in the town square. I feel like when they got Alex Jones, there was no safety net. He is a warrior, and he continued fighting, and now he's back in the mainstream. Good for him. But he was renegated to his own site with his own servers, streaming every day to small audiences after they axed him off YouTube. Cancellation. No one defended him. No one. I was on vacation that day. I was fishing out of the country, and the company that I worked for, which is supposedly in favor of free speech, said not one word in his defense. And it's like, first they came for Alex Jones. I didn't care because totally I was Alex Jones. Yeah.
Well, first they came for Alex Jones, and I did not speak up.
Now there is I don't even want to call it counterculture, but if you cancel people, look, they canceled Andrew. How successful was that? He's sitting here with you today. Yeah. He's bigger than ever. His voice is louder than ever. Now, thanks to people like Alex Jones, who took the initial brunt of the weapon, the cancellation weapon, now there are lots of different platforms, lots of different apps, lots of different applications. I mean, Elon's taken over Twitter, which was a mainstream app which censored people very heavily. The pushback has started. So the optimist in me would like to look at the trend line and say things are getting better as compared to when they canceled Alex 6-7 years ago. It does feel that way. Yeah, it does feel that way. So I'm going to be hopeful for the future. But also, I don't know what these people are capable of. I don't know what they're capable of. Look what's happened in my life.
So just real quick, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but after Alex was kicked off of YouTube and Facebook, he was still allowed on Twitter. And I think the only reason he got kicked off was because at the Capitol, Jack Dorsey was going to go speak to Congress, and Alex Jones went up to him and started fucking yelling at him as he walked up the fucking stairs to go speak to Congress. And then like fucking a day later, he was kicked off Twitter. So, these tech people, they have big egos. Could you imagine that? Like a Peter Thiel or an Elon Musk. They have Mark Zuckerberg, Sheryl Sandberg, all these people, they have big egos. And so Alex probably would have got to stay on Twitter a little longer had he not tried to confront Jack Dorsey while he was on his way to speak to Congress. Now, I don't know if that's what happened or if he was going to be banned soon anyway, and Twitter was just waiting or, assessing the situation more or whatever. But it seemed awful coincidental to me that a day or two, I think it might even been the same day, but within 2 days of him like going after Jack Dorsey on his way to speak to Congress, he was then kicked off of Twitter, and then he had no social media, or none of the big social media platforms where he could do his show. And whatever, Alex Jones has a right to say whatever he wants, but I don't think that he has a right to use anybody else's computer systems, just like I don't have a right to use your computer. So up next, if you remember, there was a brawl in Montgomery. We're not going to cover that, but we do have a couple. Funny, like second order things about the brawl in Montgomery. One is there's a song about the brawl in Montgomery.
Stop playing with these niggas.
Lego. Hey, I'm really proud of y'all. Montgomery Brawl. Bitch. Not one, but them all. Montgomery Brawl. Shout out bro that can swim. Montgomery Brawl. Salute shit, really all of them. Montgomery Brawl. Bridge. Shout out Unk with the chair. Montgomery Brawl. Everybody that was there. Montgomery Brawl. Threw the hat off at the start. Montgomery Brawl. Woo. Man, shout out to the girl. Montgomery Brawl. Hey, now y'all done started some shit, so we gon' finish y'all it. And this time, everybody about to witness it. Y'all. Bro told them to move, just doing this job. But y'all wanted to jump him, so now we got a prize. Let's get it. All right, bet. Let me tell y'all what really happened. Heard they was jumping on my cousin, let me off, Captain. Cuz came out the water like, let's get it cracking. Came with the chair like I got some action. Cuz came no shirt like I got Sebastian. I got him. Even the women getting hit like, damn, what happened? Hey, this shit was kinda lit like, damn, it's cracking. I even seen a rock bottom like, damn, this wrestling. Seen a couple of them boys go night-night. And we got the first black man to swim to a fight. Salute. If you mad at this song, don't mention me. Don't do it. But fuck that chair going down in history. Hey, I'm really proud of y'all. Montgomery Brawl. Bitch. Not one, but them all. Montgomery Brawl. Shout out bro that can swim. Montgomery Brawl. Salute shit, really all of them. Montgomery Brawl. Bridge. Shout out Unk with the chair. Montgomery Brawl. Everybody that was there. Montgomery Brawl. Threw the hat off at the start. Montgomery Brawl. Woo. Man, shout out to the girl. Montgomery Brawl. Yeah, this a real good moment in history right now. Let us all smile. Salute.
So we're not gonna we're not obviously not gonna watch the Montgomery Brawl, but the song was pretty good. And up next we got some people did a bit of a dramatic reenactment of this Montgomery Brawl, which is I think it's rather funny. So here's I guess we can only it's a reenactment of the Montgomery Brawl. Here we go. That's an important cultural moment. And I like to see that the reenactment, like a bunch of different people came together to reenact the Montgomery Brawl. Very nice, very nice. So up next, Janet Porter. We've watched her before. She is a right-wing sort of right-wing Christian activist, like a white Christian nationalist, anti-abortion activist, and she is a brilliant political mind, as you're about to see in this clip. She's like, well, if they do an amendment, we'll do an amendment. And it's like, well, that's okay. Here, just check it out. This is amazing.
I know we serve the God of the impossible, but looking at the statistics, they've won everywhere they've bulldozed this thing through. But we're going to stand. And if it's standing like Tiananmen Square, if they bulldoze us over, we're going to stand. We're not giving up. We're not going to quit. And the good news is, if we lose, we need to do it. We can do it again. We can put it on the ballot ourselves, but now we only need 50% and not 60%. So again, the loss yesterday hurt. But the only thing worse than losing that election was if we had won and then lost in November, locking in their victory, making it so that we had to get 60% to unravel that.
So yeah, there was there was a thing. There was a ballot initiative in Ohio where they tried to raise the threshold to amend the Constitution to 60%, and she's like, "Well, we lost that." They wanted to raise it so that people couldn't. There was a groundswell of people trying to enshrine abortion rights into law in Ohio via referendum, and she's like, "Well, we lost the thing that would have made it be 60%," but she's like, "Now, if they get the 50% plus one to change the law, we can just change it back with 50% plus one." She's a fucking genius. I'm telling you, fucking genius. Up next, everybody. We got like Black History Month and Pride Month and whatever. Well, what we're gonna do now? We're gonna do Christian History Month. And as always, shout out to Right Wing Watch. Probably couldn't do this show without them.
I think people are feeling it's time for Christian History Month. Christian History Month. And I hadn't thought about when, but I'm going to suggest June because it's also Celebrate Life Month. The life of this nation.
No, you're suggesting June because it's Pride Month.
Was founded on a Christian worldview.
A lot of gay Christians out there, and a lot of Christians who are in favor of gay rights. So, I mean, we could celebrate that part of Christian history, sure.
If we preach all this and teach it in June, we'll be ready for the 4th of July with a true understanding of what it means when it comes around. Maybe others could propose a different month, but you have the authority to create celebratory months and recognize things. And I think it's time, and I've talked with a few leaders. I talked with Don Federer, and he said there'd been talk about it, but he felt it was the right time. And, we just, June would be a good month. But that's my contributions to the discussion.
Well, thanks, I guess, for contributing to the discussion. June will be Christian History Month, I guess. We can do Christian History Month if they want. I don't care. It's not like I'm gonna celebrate it, but other people can. Fuck it. So up next, I didn't know Rick Santorum was still around. I thought that Dan Savage had pretty much taken him out of the conversation with that Spreading Santorum website. But no. So here's he wants to have a constitutional convention, an Article 5 constitutional convention. And before we get going here, when people talk about this, they don't really understand what happens. If there's a convention of the states, a constitutional convention, you don't get to call it and then say it's going to be about this. People can just bring up anything. It's a fucking free for all, and amendments to the Constitution can be passed. And so, like, people who want to do it for any reason, they need to think a little more deeply about it and understand what's going to happen there. Rick Santorum, not exactly known for deep thought, so we'll see what he has to say here. And once again, a shout out to Right Wing Watch. Yeah, Santorum can stick around. Sometimes it stays around. You got to take a shower.
One of the things that I hear all the time as I travel around the country is, people talk about the Constitution and we can't mess with the Constitution. And I think people forget that the Constitution was written by folks like you. They were almost all state legislators. They weren't congressmen. They weren't people from...
To be fair, I don't really know that there were states as we understand them at this time when the Constitution was written.
The federal government. They were people from the states. And interestingly enough, not surprisingly though, that they wrote the Constitution to keep them in power, right? They had to give more power to the federal government than the Articles of Confederation, but they wanted you folks, the state legislatures, the states, to be at the top of the food chain. So when people say, well, don't mess with the Constitution, does anybody believe that the states are at the top of the food chain? Do you believe any of you are at the top of the food chain?
Not very convincing, and also incorrect, mostly just because he's trying to read the minds of a bunch of dead people. I don't know that the formation of the federal government was put there to put the states at the top of the food chain. And again, Convention of the States is fraught with problems no matter what you're trying to get done, because some other thing may come up, and the thing that you were trying to get done doesn't even end up getting discussed, and then something you don't want to happen ends up happening. That guy's an idiot. It's a good thing he's leading this charge or whatever, because he's an idiot. Anyway, we don't really have a palate cleanser this week, but what we do have is Marshawn Lynch. Just a national treasure. Here's him over at NASA, talking to the people at NASA. This is pretty fucking awesome.
We have a phone call to the International Space Station planned for you. So you get a chance to talk to the astronauts.
That's in real space?
They're real space, about 200.
So what if I say something like, the trajectory right now, do I sound like I should be in here? Like, of course, absolutely. Oh yeah, okay, so I'm gonna just throw the trajectory out there a few times. Hey, what's the trajectory looking like? Everything, copacetic, everything straight?
Yeah, it's good.
What I don't wanna hear is, Houston, we have
yeah.
They in there just chilling. They ain't got no shoes on. Where
talk to you, yeah.
Josh, Frank,
Koichi,
and Nicole. How we doing today?
Hey, good evening, guys, and welcome to the International Space Station. This is Frank talking to you on Space to Ground 2.
This is Nicole Mann, and I'm from Northern California.
Oh, yeah, the hometown representing. It's the connection that we got. Can you feel me right now? I could feel your aura.
Oh, yeah, we can feel you.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. So I was just wondering if one of y'all knew how to moonwalk. Can you actually moonwalk while you up there? Oh!
Great.
Oh, I just got to witness the moonwalk on the moon. Yeah, I'm talking about Michael Jackson couldn't even do that.
I mean, they weren't on the moon, but I'm not gonna spend too much time worrying about it. The man is a national treasure. He made fun of the people that think space is fake. He was trying to pretend. He's like, well, if I use words like trajectory, will I be taken seriously around here? Just very funny stuff. That's great. That's great. So up next, we got the opposite of a palate cleanser. This is Lance Wallno. He is, I guess, a Christian nationalist of some kind, and he's going to talk about the specific counties that will be targeted in 2024 to steal the election. 17 specific counties. I wonder if he's dog whistling at the Q people, because the Q, being the 17th letter of the alphabet. I don't know this. This guy didn't strike me as that smart. But here's what he has to say.
We know they're going to try to steal an election. I know that there's 3,143 counties in America, but only 17 are going to make a difference. I know what the 17 are. Do you? You need to know the 17. Because we can handle 17. We can't handle 3,143. There are 17 places that are going to try to steal it. There's technology now. I talked with Mike Lindell. He'll be doing a reveal. We have AI. Not all AI is going to be against us. AI technology can do in seconds an exposure of fraudulent votes. We're now, our side is looking at, guess what? Exposing fraud in 17 counties.
Amen. Are you with us?
I wonder if he can name 17 counties. I'm not 100% sure that was a dog whistle to the fucking Q weirdos, but it could have been. It certainly could have been. Sure. If he wants to focus on 17 counties, I guess we'll let him. Up next, we got Michael Flynn, who usually lives in Red Light, but we put him on the regular docket this week because I have, we had a bit of a slow news week around here, and he's going to talk about how at church you should just put down the Bible and just read the Constitution, because that's what people go to church for.
Our Constitution. Our Constitution, if you read our Constitution, and you should. In fact, you should put the Bible aside and read the Constitution during some of your sermons. Just read pieces of it. Why? Why? Because if you study our Constitution, I mean study it. You study the Federalist Papers. You study the writings of our founders. Writings as deep as reading the letters from our founding fathers to their wives or to their children.
That's not the Constitution.
Fascinating. And the United States Constitution the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence are based primarily on the Bible.
No.
I mean, they are. We did this.
No.
No doubt about it. Okay?
This guy's lost his mind. He sounds like the grandpa on The Simpsons, and sometimes when he's talking, like that didn't make a whole lot of sense. He was like, read the Constitution, but also read the letters that the founding fathers sent to their families. Like, I mean, that'd be kind of cool, I guess, to read in church. Sure, I mean, that's fine with me. Up next, we got this is Steve Schultz. He hosts Elijah's List. Usually when we watch this, or historically when we've watched clips from him, it's because he's had Kat Kerr on. Kat Kerr is like a weather warrior person. She thinks she can control the weather with like a fucking magic staff or some shit. But not this time. This is Johnny Enlow who's on his show, and this what Johnny's going to say here is just kind of all over the place. Check this out.
There's people that talk about there being Trumpism and excessive adulation of Trump, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they miss that throughout history, quality leaders have lost their commission and or their lives by not recognizing who God is working through. And so this is supposed to speak to some people in the body of Christ, some leaders. And if you just go through, Moses, how many times did he face either directly this challenge of who is this Moses, or some virtual equivalent of that? His own sister gets too familiar, gets leprosy for challenging his leadership until he prays for her. You have the Korah rebellion that goes on. You have, the examples of, there's David, his own son, anointed, called, comes from David. He's from the tribe of Judah and all that kind of stuff. He just thinks he's the anointed one. And then you have some of David's loyal priests, loyal advisors, loyal leaders that have served him, that have been following the anointing for 40 years, but they don't understand David is the anointed man. And so they go against him and their commission. They literally lose their lives, most of these guys, in the process. So
even the host has no idea what the fuck this guy's talking about.
This is a word. That's why there's this last chance. And I'm going to get into that a little more, but I just want to say that again. This is the word. The Trump train is coming in and taking off. Get on board. That's the key part, is get on board. Last chance.
A train doesn't take off. A train departs the station. That would be an airplane. I told you that was all over the place. I listened to it before because somebody, I forget who sent it to me. They tagged me or something, and they're like, this doesn't make any damn sense. Like, could you explain this to me? And I was like, well, no. And it was completely all over the place. I mean, that's good though. That's good. At least whatever the shit that was didn't make any sense. So it's not going to persuade anyone of anything. Here's a religious right-wing commentator named Michael Brown, who is not too happy with our red light star here on the show, little Nicky Fuentes. And here's what he has to say.
The Lord rebuke you, Nick Fuentes. That is despicable. That is anti-Semitic drivel. That is from the pit. That is a blasphemous misuse of the name of Jesus, of the gospel, of the royalty of King Jesus. Yes, my friends, this is the vile white supremacism that we have denounced for decades, raising its ugly head. This is the worst form of Christian nationalism. Is anything but the gospel, is anything but living out Christian principles in America, is anything but being salt and light. It is despicable. I denounce it. Every person of conscience should denounce it and pray for the salvation, repentance of Nick Fuentes and everyone who cheered his words on. Nick, the Lord rebuke you. You are in serious, deep, demonic error.
Hell yeah. Yes, Nick Fuentes. I mean, I probably don't agree with that guy on much, but he even called out Christian nationalism, and that's like a right-wing Christian preacher guy. So that's pretty cool. But I mean, that's like the kind of the low-hanging fruit too. Like it's not like little Nicky Fuentes is it's hard to tell what's going on. It's not like he's using a lot of dog whistles or whatever. All right, we got a few more clips before we go into red light. First up, we got Charlie Kirk, and he's going to talk about the Trump presidency and whether or not it was a failed presidency.
gag order against Donald Trump and says you're not allowed to talk about the case. And let's say then Donald Trump violates the gag order. What can be done? Well, very few people know this, but federal judges have arrest authority.
Yes.
He could send federal agents to then go arrest Donald Trump and put him in jail, detain him.
Yeah, for contempt of court, yes.
Fine him, but probably jail him and say, we're done. You're in jail now. Or he could have another separate indictment that would be a hard case to win, another hard one to win, that could actually move very quickly of defying a gag order, which is against federal law. So some of you are emailing us, freedom@charliekirk.com, and you're saying Donald Trump should absolutely, certainly ignore the gag order. And by the way, I admit he said absolutely nothing wrong here. Now, sure, you could appeal to another federal judge, maybe. But let's be very clear. Can you gag a political candidate? It's against the First Amendment.
No, it's not. Just because you're a political candidate doesn't mean that you don't have to obey the orders of the court.
Now, understand that the federal judges have far more power than people recognize or realize. This judge could conceivably sign an order and say, Defendant Trump, you are now in pretrial detention for 4 months, no access to a phone. Is it worth taking that risk? Is it worth pushing the boundaries or the barriers to put Donald Trump in a prison cell with no access to phone to defy the gag order?
Well, no, it's not. I mean, no matter who you are, if you're out on pretrial detention, you just do what you're fucking told. Otherwise, you're not on pretrial release. You're not on pretrial release anymore. It doesn't matter if you're the president or just some fucking person.
And by the way, its maximum penalty for contempt in federal court is 6 months. But this judge has done all sorts of weird innovations in legal practice. Is this the hill to die on? That's an interesting question. Some of you say right here, Charlie, Donald Trump should defy the gag order, make them arrest him. They're not ready to put Donald Trump in prison. Well, I think they are ready to put him in prison. I think that the recent indictments show that.
Well, except that he's out, like he's been released.
It's worth asking, and it's worth contemplating. We'll find out. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think this judge is going to issue a very sternly, strongly worded final warning, basically saying, Defendant Trump, you keep this up, I'm going to do a gag order. This Truth Social is not enough for me to gag you, but boy, I'm willing to gag you. That is where I think she's going to come down. Someone says, Charlie, can Trump get a gag order on Jack Smith? No. Of course. And this other person says, Charlie, this is all extremely one-sided. Of course it's extremely one-sided. They control the government.
Welcome to the U.S. judicial system. The federal prosecutors have like a clearance rate over 95%, dude.
Do you imagine living in 1970s China? This Mao guy is really one-sided. We do not live in a free society anymore. The government has unlimited resources. They have favors. They have friends. They control the media. They're all in on it. So you're up against every power center, every single power center. Let's play some pieces of tape here.
I like how he calls it tape.
Cut 7, writer for The Atlantic, Tom Nichols, tells you why they're doing this. Elections are too risky. We cannot allow him to take power again. That is why a majority of the Democrat Party is in support of these indictments. They do not want to live through the horror show of another Donald Trump presidency.
Or maybe they think he committed crimes.
By the way, just to kind of push back against some of the people running against Donald Trump, Trump was a bad president. If Trump was such a failed president, why are they doing everything they possibly can to prevent a second term of Trump? If Trump was so ineffective, why are they going to such great levels and such great lengths to prevent him from taking office as the 47th president of the United States, 45 and 47? It's kind of strange, isn't it?
It's kind of odd that these people are like Law and Order and shit. If like there's some person out there right now who's going through like pre-trial, right, and they're being treated unfairly, but it's like for cocaine or something, so Charlie Kirk ain't gonna say shit about it. because that's not, not his homeboy or whatever. But like this guy, he's like not being treated. He's being given special treatment essentially by the federal court system. He's under indictment in like 3 different places, and none of them have seen fit to detain him. If I was under indictment in 3 places, damn straight I wouldn't be here doing this fucking show. It wouldn't matter what I was indicted for. They'd be like, "Oh, the 3rd time's a charm, Dave. We're gonna take you in." So up next we got Jimmy Dore, one Mr. Jimothy Dore. He's talking to RFK Jr. and it's about healthcare in this country. Now, if you remember, Jimmy Dore and a bunch of the other kind of the dumb left people, they were like all mad at like the Squad, AOC, Ayanna Pressley, Ilhan Omar. I forget who else is in the Squad. They were mad that those people did not try to force a Medicare for all vote. They were livid about it. They were throwing like a giant fit about it. And like in reality, like trying to force that vote would have been stupid because it would have made Medicare for all or any similar program look like a giant loser because it would have gone down like 4 or 5 to 1 under the circumstances at the time. Well, here he is talking to RFK Jr. about universal health care, and in his stance, RFK Jr. just isn't as strong as it was when he was talking about the Squad, for whatever reason.
You would guarantee health care for everybody in America?
Well, my best option would be to do that. I don't think that you can do that all at once. And I can tell you this. that is a battle that I think is polarizing, and that is, because the power of the pharmaceutical industry and the power of the medical cartel, that it's just, at this point, it's too much of a heavy lift. So, you're never going to get there. So what I'm going to focus on is things that I can actually do, and not promise people things that I'm not going to be able to do.
What about a public option?
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, you're talking about that. You could do that. That's what you're saying, but you couldn't.
Well, no, I don't even know if you could do a public option at this point with this Congress.
Oh, okay.
But my choice would be, to begin with a public option. And then, Medicare, if Medicare for all would take years to work out the kinks to make sure that people like it, that it's popular, that they're doing it right, you need to have a public option during that period anyway. So, that's how I do it. I'm not running on that issue because what I'm running on are issues that I think every American is going to be able to get behind.
So that's, again, Jimmy is definitely like on board with RFK Jr., but he wasn't going to say nothing. He wasn't going to call him a coward or anything for saying that he didn't think he could get it done. But like I said, when the Squad wouldn't force a vote that we all knew was doomed to fail, it was the fucking most important thing that ever happened, that they wouldn't do it because, and that's where I lose the thread, the because part, right? Like, I don't know why it was the biggest thing in the world. Like, people even tried to explain to these dumb left folks why this was a bad idea right now to try to force it. And they called all those people shills. They said, "Oh, you're just you're in the bag for big pharma or whatever." And it's like, well, no, those people just know it's going to fail. And if you want to get universal health care for people in this country long term, you don't want to have a bunch of failed votes so that the people who are against it can be like, "Oh, you're bringing up this loser again," because that's sort of how it works. That's how the conversation works, because most people are not fucking extremely online and fucking focused on politics all the time. And so all they know is that every time this comes through, it fails in Congress. So they think it's a loser of an idea. It's not that hard to like figure that out and figure out why it's a bad idea to try to force everyone to vote on something that you know is going to fail and fail badly. It's not that we don't want it. It's that we know that we're not going to get it right now, and that when we do, when there is a vote on it, it should at least be close, even if it goes down, so the idea doesn't look like this is a 4-1 bad idea or whatever. It doesn't mean it's a bad idea just because it doesn't have the votes. But again, most people aren't like political animals, and they just think it's a loser of an idea. Don't worry though. Jimmy Dore has Up next, he's got Brett Weinstein on. Fantastic, right? They're going to talk about, of course, trans people.
You know a little bit about gender and biology, and you're also concerned about what's taking place in the conversations around this, as am I. There's nobody could be more pro LGBTQ and whatever, but it's coming to a point now, of course, where just like the establishment used racism to silence people who are anti-establishment, they're now using the threat of calling you anti-LGBTQ to silence you from saying anything rational about transgenderism or gender-affirming operations for minors, right? And my theory is that the reason why this is so front and center, just like the same reason why the Washington Post and the media started talking more about racism when racism was actually going down, it's because the establishment needs these issues to distract us from the economic war that they're playing on us.
Yes, this is all a distraction. This is dumb. At least he didn't let Brett. At least we didn't hear any of what Brett said, though. I think we did watch some of that on the Intellectual Dollar Tree on Wednesday, though I'm not sure. Try to block most of that show out of my mind, actually. All right, everybody, we got one more clip. It is, of course, it's Matt Walsh, and it's about pansexuals, and Matt's just like trying to figure it out. I'm just trying to figure it out because you know what's going to be a problem for Matt Walsh is going to be pansexuals. He's going to have to deal with pansexuals.
Pick a side, okay? Pick a team. Stop being indecisive. That's what pansexual really is. Aside from made up, it's a lack of commitment. And you know the thing is,
I fuck everyone is in fact a lack of commitment. I'll give him that.
Other people, I think, and this will be controversial, but other people have a right to know. Okay, other people have a right to know if they are potential objects of your sexual fantasies.
Why? Wouldn't that be weird if I just walked down the street and I saw somebody and maybe we made a little eye contact and I stopped them? I go, "Excuse me, I have a right to know. Are you having a sexual fantasy about me right now?" They'd be like, Dave, how'd you get that black eye? Dave, how'd you get your black eye? I'd be like, well, somebody made eye contact with me walking down the street and I asked them if they were having sexual fantasies about me. And it turns out probably no, but still possibly yes.
And so that's why it's not fair to walk around and say, I'm attracted to anyone at all. No one's safe. Now, whenever a group if there's like a group of people sitting in a room with Wayne Brady, and so it's a diverse group, and you've got like a overweight 65-year-old man, and then you got a young woman and whatever. Everyone's sitting around and they're all thinking, he could be attracted to any one of us right now. Any one of us. It could be any of us. It's scary. It's like some kind of
why
Agatha Christie novel in a weird way. So anyway, that's the news about Wayne Brady.
What? If I'm in a room with Wayne Brady, I'm not being like, uh-oh, is he attracted to everybody? I'm like, shit, Wayne Brady's in the room. That's fucking cool. Maybe I could get an autograph or something. Like, is that, I'm not really into celebrity culture or whatever. Wayne Brady usually seems like a nice enough guy. He's pretty funny, you know. But instead, I could just be fucking freaking out. I'd be like, is he attracted to me and the person sitting across the room from me, even though we're different? What the fuck? I mean, that's a good enough place as any, right, to leave the podcast. Thanks, podcast listeners, for checking out the show this week. You can check the show out live every Sunday, 7 p.m. Pacific, right here on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/EchoPlex Media. And if you want to support the show but aren't into Twitch, there's some easy ways to do that. One of them is to just go to patreon.com/EchoPlex. And sign up at any level. Also, eplex.store works the same way. And if you don't like either of those, there's echoplexmedia.com. Click the support tab. Our Amazon wish list is there. All kind of ways to support the show. Thanks, live viewers. We've got some weird shit going on for Red Light. And this is Boomers. I'm going to, as always, change the contents of my beverage. change the color of the light in the studio, and I'll be back in a couple minutes.